welcome back to KSP again. We're the realism. We are getting a lot better, shall we say? So, as we left off at the end of the last episode, we managed to return Jeb safely to the Earth. No issues there. Managed to do that one. What we've currently got in process is we need to throw a probe up into orbit and then bring it back down again. We need to perform an unmanned flyby of the moon, and then I can have a look at what's coming up shortly after that. But the reason we joined back again is, as you remember, I said I was going to redesign some stuff using having a look at the new engines, having a look at potentially some replica launchers, and with the new parts I unlocked, we'd basically see what happened. So if I open, so this was my original attempt at the SOHO probe, which, if you remember, it did manage this is a few episodes ago now. It did manage a Mooner encounter, but ran out of fuel before being able to do anything else. So it managed to get high altitude, a bit of high altitude science from around the moon, but not much more. We then it was on a free return trajectory to Earth, where it just smashed into the atmosphere at 10,000 meters a second. So it served its purpose, but this was the old design. So it was powered by these four 1 kilonewton thrusters using kerosene, and nitrogen tetroxide, and basically it had a load of blocks and stuff on it to try and build its structure up. I've since reassessed. I've had another look, so we've now got the I only called it the full name just so I could distinguish between the two. Not only is this thing far less in part number, but here she is. So it's actually now powered by 5 of these TD 339 engines, which in fact I don't need to actually, because I've got Make Jeb open down here as well. I'm going to put this on the colour you can see easily. There we go. So, because that's set up for atmosphere on Earth, Delta V. But if you'll see here, this final stage, which I'll just get rid of this. There you go. This top stage has nearly 1600 meters per second Delta V in just this top stage, which is the new. This is the new SOHO probe. So it's running on hypergolic fuels through these 5 engines. We have the same sort of science set up on top. I've got 3 of these goo canisters, etc. However, this time, not only have I managed to include the low resolution altimeter, just in case I can get it into an encapsulated flyby of the moon. Well, it won't be a flyby after that. It'll be an orbit of the moon. It'll never have enough Delta V to leave ever again, but it may just, depending on the type of encounter we can get, have enough Delta V to do an insertion burn around the moon. So that's why that's on there. Failing that, we've added one of the new experiments, which is not the water tank storage. There you go. So fully deployed, this thing is going to look like this. Okay, this is my variant of the this SOHO probe, the new one. It's very economical in the final stage. It's quite long in burn time, which makes it a little awkward. But yeah, there's not too much I can do about that, unfortunately. I always ended up either trading off Delta V for a higher thrust to weight ratio and a lower burn time, or I've managed to get a fairly decent amount of Delta V, but the downside is because of the engine types, the actual thrust isn't particularly great. So we're 0.5 basically kilonewtons of thrust per engine, which is not particularly perfect. It does sometimes get a bit awkward as well when trying to seat. Yep. You end up accidentally seating on the side. There we go, that's better. Nope, missed again. Nope. Nah, anyhow, I can just reopen it. It's not an issue. So yeah, so that's the new design for the SOHO. So what I did is to save, it takes, because of the engine typing, it takes so long. It actually took a 19-minute burn when I did the launch pathing for this. So it took a 19. I didn't want to just literally sit here with you guys having to watch this for 19 minutes. So this is, I say, this is the actual rocket that I launched, which is the same lower stage as I've been using for most of my stuff, because it's about the best I can do at the moment with the engines I have. I did swap out the bottom engine, I believe, as well. Yeah, this is now an RD 191. It was previously running, where is it? Yeah, the L89 series. However, now I've swapped it to the RD 191. It's just more economical. It's got a higher ISP, especially when it's in the which is this one, the RD 151 configuration, because it actually down rates it. But overall, it provides more delta V after you've burnt through the atmosphere, which is when you kind of really need it. So, and as well, I may as well do this while I'm in the VAB with you. It's actually here. I managed to replicate as best as I can from looking up on the wiki and NASA website, the documentation about the actual Mercury launcher. So this is using the Atlas to Mercury launch vehicle. So this is what they would use to obtain an orbit. They use the Redstone rocket if they want suborbital hops, but this was what will be used to actually obtain orbit. So this, as a single stage, at 9,700 meters a second, delta V, it should obtain orbit by itself. There's no boosters, no nothing. It is literally a single burn stage, which is this. Everything else is just stuff for the pod. So the Mercury launcher I've kept. I haven't launched that yet, so you guys will actually get to see me try this replica launch to get into low Earth orbit with it. I've got to be very careful to make sure I can deorbit the pod, though. Otherwise, it could get quite hairy for who I end up sending up. Unfortunately, I have squeezed in. I've hidden them basically. They're inside the capsule. What I did was I mounted some life support on the outside of the capsule and then just inset them in it. So there's more weight on this than is actually visible, but it was the only way to safely increase the amount of life support with the TAC life support mod without just killing a curve. So, that's the two new craft I've designed. One of which I have actually managed to kill 2 birds with 1 stone on. So what we have now is I launched the new version of the SOHO probe. And I was going to launch it straight into interplanetary space. I was literally just going to launch it straight into interplanetary space so that it could actually do what the SOHO probe does, which is orbit the sun and provide information about the solar orbits. But what I was doing is basically I tried doing that, and I tried looking at maneuvers, and I tried looking at how I was going to be able to do this, and it does have enough delta V to get into, but it basically just it didn't really feel right just sending it up just to burn it into, because I'm kind of doing this more for a realism than actually what science will be available out there, because there's going to be pretty naff all in the interplanetary space. There'll be the initial orbiting sun bonuses, but other than that, there's not going to be a fat lot. So what I did is I spent, I don't know, probably about 3/4 of an hour messing around with maneuver nodes and trying out different delta V maximization burns and stuff like that. And this is what we ended up with in the end. So we are currently, we came out of Kerbin here, and if well, if I deselect this, you'll be able to see what the orbit is. So this is the orbit that we were on as we left Earth. So we went out trying to get a Mooner. Well, it'd be a lunar encounter when it's from real solar system. So trying to get a lunar encounter. And we did manage to get a lunar encounter. And what's actually happened is that we come into the moon encounter here. We get slingshot around it at 24,000 meters, which I can actually bring ever so slightly lower. But I have to be careful because it's perfectly balanced at the moment, so that not only when it escapes up here into a lunar escape, so when we reach the lunar escape, it actually also has enough velocity after slingshotting around the moon to also obtain a escape from the Earth's orbit. So this is the bit that you saw in the tracking station that stops there at the lunar escape. However, what the tracking station doesn't show is that what will actually happen is we will leave the Earth's orbit and end up in interplanetary space. We've got no main fuel left, and we are now basically using the RCS thrusters and the aerosine to fine-tune the periaps, etc. So it is still contactable. You can still use this thing. I'm going to get rid of this alarm clock. Let's bring up the computer, because there's now 1.5 second delay when using this thing, so it's kind of a bit dangerous. So I'll go, I think retrograde is the marker I need. Get it aligned retrograde. Right, so now we're aligned. So basically what I do to try and fine-tune this, let me just quick save this, because this is only for demo purposes, really. If I can get a little bit closer, fair enough. What I don't want to do is overshoot this. Because of the delay, even if I instantly toggle RCS, it means that it will be firing for 1.5 seconds, give or take, because the delay between the two signals will be about that. So throttle up. So that fraction of a second burn there put us down to 16 kilometers. We're still on an Earth and escape. So that took us from 24 to 16, so we'll probably be able to do one more without crashing into the lunar surface. Oh crap, was dead. That's what signal delay can do for you. We've still got loads of time though, we can fix this. That actually has no periaps now. It means it has no close encounter, which means it's probably going to smack into the moon's surface. So, I mean, as you can see, I could actually leave this burning for quite a while. It's been very, very good at actually being able to fine-tune this system here. The downside is I have no idea of the delta V that I have, or what I can and can't do with it, because it's all in the RCS thrusters. There we go, we have a periaps back. 6 is a little low for me. 12. I have no telemetry. This is where it gets a bit worrying. So I've yet to be able to obtain any telemetry data or any altimeter data from the lunar surface. So I'd actually know whether there's any peaks over 12,000 meters. I believe not. So I'm actually going to leave it at 12. But yeah, so the only reason I showed you this is because effectively what's going to happen is I'm going. Oh, let me put it back in its orientation as well. I've set up this orientation, this advanced orientation in Smart SAS, so that it basically points itself for maximizing solar panel exposure at the sun, no matter where it is in the solar system. Okay, so what we're going to do basically is we're going to follow the SOHO probe on its escape into a solar orbit and see whether or not we actually get anything worthwhile. It's possible we might, other than just sort of standard science, but so yeah, so get really open up. And unfortunately, they are going to show up all the time because they're partially complete. Yeah, I don't know. It's just the way, unfortunately, this is built. I mean, I could launch 12 of these, unfortunately, and still never really complete it just because of the transfer that you don't get. So we have a choice to make, though. Either I set a timer for all experiments to be performed here, or we assume that because of where the moon will be and our position in relation to the Earth, we will still have a signal all the way out to here, and then we'll still have a signal all the way out to here. And after that, if it goes dead, it'd be a bit gutting, but so be it. And if it doesn't, it means we actually have a solar orbit probe, which is what the SOHO was originally designed for. So yeah. So I'm going to bring up... In fact, I'm just going to fast forward. No need to really wait. It's going to keep interrupting us anyway. I don't know what to do with this because it could potentially obscure our signal from Earth, in which case we won't be able to tell it to activate the experiments. And this thing's on a one-way. This is an escape orbit. This is never coming back. And it would be a shame to miss low orbit science on the moon. I think I'm going to go for it. We're just going to see. I mean, we've got a bit. Sorry, we've been talking now. We're only 35 seconds away now, so I'm going to bring back up this next science, and we are 30. We should actually hope for, if I set it as the moon as the target. Oh no, it is the target, so I just need to find the target. And I'm hoping that this will just go ding. There we go. That's it. We just got swapped. Our sphere of influence just changed. And transfer that back. As I say, so I mean, this is what's going to happen to us now. It's zoomed us in a lot more. Look, so we are going to get within 12 kilometers of the surface, and I just have to hope that there isn't a peak on the moon that extends more than 12 kilometers into the air. So we're then going to leave lunar sphere of influence, and then eventually we will lose the Earth sphere of influence. But in the meantime, let's just keep creeping towards this. Oh, okay. We are in space near. We are now classified as near. Nearly missed it. Let's do a temperature scan, transmit it. An atmospheric pressure scan, transmit it. Mag scan. Radio plasma scan. Luckily I have multiple antennas, so this is not too bad. I'm going to keep... Okay, I'll keep 2. I don't know how much science I'm going to get for this. 26. Question is, do I transmit 26 science now? Or... I don't know. Do I transfer 26 science now, or do I wait for interplanetary space and see if I get some more? No, it's more important to get... Yeah. I'm gonna do it. Skim while... Oh, God. Oh! I think we fucked up. And by we, I mean, of course, me. I'm pretty sure that the ground is higher than I thought it was. I'm beginning to wonder if 12 kilometers is not high enough for the lunar surface. I am just on a mass transmit scenario now. Oh god, this is going to be so bad if I clip the surface. Is that decreasing? No, it's stable. I mean, I do have enough. Fuck me, that's going to be close. And the only thing to do is I'm committed now anyhow, it's tough shit. Holy crap. I am going to have a shadow at this point, I'm that close. Find where the sun is. I am travelling across the moon's surface at 2.5 kilometers a second. This was like the worst and the best fucking average guesstimate in the... Wow, is that stupid? Oh my god. This is just insane. I am literally scraping the barrel. There's that shadow, look, down there. See it just... So, actually, it's a bit, maybe it's a bit misleading, but we are a little higher than I thought we were going to be. Or than it initially looked, but wow, is that close? We're on our way back up there now, so... Oh, thank God. I do believe, though, that there probably are lunar surfaces, probably up to about 15 kilometers, maybe, then. Well, we're beginning to gain altitude again, thank Christ for that. So, all in all, it was a risky maneuver. It paid off just, but... I did complete that contract, though. Excellent. Wow, though, that was pretty close. And we will now escape the moon's influence. Yeah, we know this. Rolands are done. Get out the sphere of influence of the moon. Right, that's it. We are now on an escape trajectory. We've finished being in... I actually thought I'd screwed that. I thought I'd screwed the pooch on that one. I thought it was going to slam into the surface of the moon. Okay, I'm going to stop X Science now while we're back in the Earth sphere of influence, because it's just going to stop us all the time. That's it. There you go, look. Wait for all those to complete. I'll transmit the guy again. Just transmit everything. Right, that's all of the experiments rendered mute now. We are just in space, high over the sun. And very soon, we will lose the ability to communicate with our planet. And it will happen, we might get an encounter to transfer science once every blue moon, maybe, if we're in range of the planet Earth. But yeah. So all in all, that was not a bad flight. It's a shame I didn't have another material study, because that provides a lot. But I tell you now, it is what it is. I had to make a choice. It was either low lunar orbit data or high sun. So, alright, well, I'm going to go back to the space station then now and see exactly what that one probe managed to get as the high lunar space, which we already had most of. We've just managed to scrape a little bit more from that. The low lunar science, which we gathered just on a flyby, and we then used that to eject ourselves into a solar orbit, which again gave us more science. Let's see how much more. Admittedly, yeah, I don't really want to cut it that close ever again. Mental note to self, surface of moon is definitely higher than expected. So we are on 296 science from that mission. What I will do actually is, in that brief instant I had, I am going to check what altimeter data I was able to get from the moon's surface while travelling over it at some ridiculous speed. So let's have a look. Obviously this is Earth, but if we now change the celestial body, so we got 6,000, 7,000... 7,000, 8, 10. Let's put it into slope. It's easier to see the hotspots. And there's... So I flew over the surface at 12.5 kilometers, and we crossed peaks. I just saw one flick up then of like 11,000. We were within. We got lucky. It was a pure fluke. Our altitude was lower than the estimated peak. Obviously, this is low resolution, so that'll be rounded up. But we literally fluked it. We were so close to smashing into the surface of the moon. Which would have ruined the SOHO probe. Which is now, amazingly, just following the Earth around the sun. So what we'll do is we'll probably eventually we'll set the Earth as a target and try and burn some delta V. I don't really, in fact, no, I'll leave it in an elliptical one. You never know. It might get an option to spot some stuff, or maybe I'll get a contract to put a probe in a solar orbit or something. In which case I can literally just activate that. In the meantime, we can pretend it's like the actual SOHO probe, which has just got a acceptance for an extension of its life to December 2018, I believe. So, the SOHO probe that was launched back in the... I can't remember off the top of my head, in the 80s, 90s, I think, is still flying around, actively reporting in a solar orbit now. But yes, after all that, and nearly smashing into the surface of the moon, I'm going to probably call it there for a day, because I need to have a look at the science, figure out what nodes to unlock in the research tree. Obviously I've got fog of the tech tree on, so I can't see past that. But yeah, I need to figure out where it's going to be valuable to spend these sort of shortest way to most gain. It did severely help the funding though. We're back up to over 1 million funds now, so it's that really helped having that low flyby of the moon. So I'll find out where to spend my science. Probably look, depending on what science nodes I unlock, I will probably look to upgrade the or maybe design something brand new. That was the SOHO replica probe. I'm gonna try and create some more probes once I unlock some more engines and stuff, and replicate some more missions. Well, I say replicate a mission. Obviously, the SOHO probe never did a flyby of the moon, but that was just to basically kill two birds with one stone for a game. But yeah, we'll see if we can get some probes out into deep space, as well as actually getting... I know we didn't launch it this time, and I said I would, so it'll have to wait till next episode, unfortunately. But we'll get the Mercury launcher, sorry, set up on the runway. Let's see how. Let's take Valentina instead. She's had one flight on the Earth, whereas Jebediah has been orbiting the Earth before. Let's take Valentina, get her some experience, see how she fares in space. But yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And luckily, we have a successful probe into solar orbit. But that was kind of just luck, I believe. I completely over-egged how high the mountains were going to be on the lunar surface. So I got kind of lucky with that one. But thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. And I'll see you next time.